Good morning, my friend Aubrey. How are you?
I am excellent. How are you, Jess?
I'm great. Happy Friday. We're publishing on Fridays now, which is cool. I like that we might be something our listeners take into the weekend with them. They're
I
gonna
know.
discover us on a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, and you guys are gonna be out for walks, cleaning your house, running errands, doing chores, hopefully doing more fun weekend stuff like driving up to the mountains. And you know what? IELTS Energy will be there with you.
Yes, I love that idea. I love the idea of you guys letting us join you for some of your weekend fun. Absolutely.
Take a picture of what you're doing while you're listening and tag all ears English on Instagram so we can see. That would
Yes,
be
that's the
so fun.
best idea.
Please do that. All right, guys. So today we are talking about vital, necessary IELTS strategies. So much of taking an exam like this is about controlling your time, right? So, we are going to talk about writing timing today.
Yes, we got a really good question about this from a student that we will share, and fantastic tips to help you make sure that you have enough time to write your essays. But first, we want to make sure that you have caught our recent episodes, some really fantastic ones that if you missed them, scroll up and listen. Episode 1328. Don't use get on IELTS. Find out why. If you're like, why not? There are really good reasons, a lot higher scoring vocabulary. So don't miss that one.
It's a great vocab episode, you guys. There's so many words you need to write down from 1328. And then one we did a couple weeks ago about speaking, we've gotten some really interesting student feedback about this because people are surprised because we're actually asking you guys to speak more slowly on the speaking exam. So if you, again, you're like, why? That sounds like bad advice. Go back and listen to IELTS Energy 1333, why slowing down gets higher speaking scores. And if you're not following us, maybe that's why you missed those episodes. So hit follow right now, guys.
Awesome. Okay, I'm going to share today's question from Anthea. Thank you for the question. And she said, I don't have enough time for task one and task two.
Yeah,
You are not alone, Anthea. I know you guys listening out there are a lot of you are thinking, same. Yeah, right? That's how do you
there
do all of that in 1 hour?
exactly, you guys, because there are so many things to think about while you're writing, and it's hard to do all of those things at once, like writing task one. How do I write about the weird numbers? What numbers do I even choose to write about?
Mm.
How do I put those in an essay with paragraphs? What kind of vocabulary do I use for these weird questions? There's all that to think about, plus, grammar and linking words and spelling and punctuation. And all those things go for task two as well. But there's this added pressure of like, okay, this is a longer essay that I have to finish, and it has to look very organized with very clear ideas. And you know what, guys? Maybe you don't even know that last part. Maybe you don't know how clear your ideas must be in task two in order to get a seven or higher. Like,
Yes.
there's just a lot to think about.
And if you had 2 hours, 3 hours, no problem. But you
Yeah.
don't, right? You are working with very strict timing. I know you've also experienced this, Jessica, that we'll have students submit amazing essays and I'll correct them and then I'll ask them, okay, what's your timing? How long did it take to write these two essays? And they'll say, like, oh, about 2 hours and 45 minutes. Like,
Yeah.
okay, we got to think about that because that's not test valid. You don't have
Exactly.
that kind of time on test day.
Yeah, that does happen in some classes. I always, before I dig into the student's essay with the student in class, I see how many words they have, and then I ask them how long it took to write it,
Hmm.
because right away, if it took too long, then I'm like, okay, well, just know that the scores at the end of this are not going to be what you'll get on the exam because you don't have this time on the exam.
Exactly right. So if that's the case for you, you need to start timing yourself, shaving off time as you go, because you need to be able to go in on test day and know I can write these essays in the hour I have so that you have confidence.
Yeah, I just talked to a student about that this morning, saying, you need to time yourself step by step. And we'll give you the steps in just a second here, guys. There are 3 steps to write task 1 and 3 steps to write task 2. And we're very direct about how much time you should take for each of those steps. And so we ask students if timing is an issue, you need to time yourself for each step, right? So first step is planning, 2 minutes. Second step is writing, 14 minutes. Like, you need to time yourself for each step so you can see, okay, what's taking too long? What do I need to improve?
Exactly. So, we are going to share straight out of our Three Keys online course the strategies, the timing that you need in order to fix this problem, in order to be able to write task 1 in 20 minutes, task 2 in about 40 minutes, so that you have time to do both. So, we'll start with the first step for task 1. Whether you are taking academic or general, you have 2 to 3 minutes to plan your essay.
Yes, guys. So I'll just tell you now, the 3 steps are the same for task 1 and task 2, but what we do in the first step is different. So the 3 steps to write anything, guys, not just IELTS essays, but anything. We plan, we write, we check. So we took those 3 very simple strategies and we built them out for IELTS. So in task 1, right, you take 2 to 3 minutes to plan. So if you're a general student, you brainstorm at least 2 specific details for each bullet point. Okay. So that's what you do for general. If you are academic, then you have to organize those numbers into 2 groups because those will be your 2 paragraphs. And we tell our 3 key students to draw a line somewhere on the graph or on the key. Um, and after you organize that into 2 halves, that graph, that group of numbers, then you circle the most important numbers. You circle the key numbers. Okay. Remember, the only numbers you can put in your IELTS Task 1 essay are the most important numbers. Do not put any numbers that don't matter because your score goes down.
Exactly. And then you also figure out the overall trend. And this will be related to those most important numbers. This will be related to how you organize the information. We see students make this mistake a lot where you organize the information one way, but then what you say in the overall trend is not related, is really disjointed, which makes for a
Mhm.
disorganized essay.
Yes, exactly. So again, guys, in our 3 keys course, allearsenglish.com/KEYS, you will get more details about these strategies. But I know just even what we're giving you guys today will help. And if you feel like this is just the beginning of what you need to know, then do check out our course, guys, allearsenglish.com/KEYS. All right. So after you plan, right, the planning part tells you exactly what you're going to put in your essay. You know what numbers you're going to put in there. You know which paragraph the numbers are going in. You have the overall trend. All of the thinking stuff, that's done. Okay. Now we have to shift our brain into writing mode. We're using different parts of our brain. Right. Because remember at the beginning, we said there's so much to think about. You can't think about all of it at once. That's another good reason for dividing this into 3 steps. So now we're in the writing phase. How long do we spend writing for task 1?
14 to 16 minutes. And what's really key here is as you are writing and including everything from your brainstorm, you want to focus on transition phrases, vocabulary, and grammar, and do not think of new ideas. Or if a new idea pops into your head, ignore it. Stick to your brainstorm. This is where a lot of students lose time.
Exactly. So if you're a general training student, you should already have every idea in your brainstorm before you start writing. Every specific detail for each bullet point is in your brainstorm. Don't think of new stuff while you write. And if you're an academic student, don't start doubting the numbers you circled. Okay? That part's done. That you're done thinking about that. There's enough to think about while you write your essay. All right. So after you finish writing, guys, you have to leave 2 to 3 minutes to check your essay.
Yes, you're going to check for vocabulary. Make sure you don't have repeated vocabulary or easy vocab that you could replace with a higher scoring word. Check spelling, grammar. You want to check for common mistakes, right? Common punctuation errors like comma splices, verb tense, and articles.
You know, a great benefit about meeting with an IELTS coach to go over your writing with you is we can tell you what the most common grammar errors are and how to fix them. So, for example, I had a student who did a lot of comma splices in her writing. And if she cleaned those up, she could get at least a 7 for grammar because that was her main problem. You know, as it stood, she'd get a 5 for grammar because there's too many poor sentences, they're all
Mhm.
mistakes because of the commas. So being able to know strategically what to improve, like if this is a mistake you're making a lot, improve that. You know, if this is a mistake you only make once, I don't think you have to dig into those rules. That's
Right.
just a one-off mistake.
Right, and this is different for each student, right? The
Yeah.
errors that you make commonly might be different for another student. So you have to really examine your writing or yes, have a coach point it out to you, right? Take a IELTS class, a writing class so that you can be more aware of what you need to look for when you check your essay.
All right. So, task 2, guys, same 3 steps. We plan, we write, we check. But of course, we have 40 minutes for task 2. So, what does that look like, Aubrey? How do we start?
Yeah, so you want to spend 5 minutes on your brainstorm. And here you're deciding what your opinion is on the issue and coming up with your reasons for that. And this will look a little different depending on the type of essay you're writing. We go into each of these different types of essays in our course. If
Mhm.
it's an opinion essay or if it's an argument essay where you're sharing both sides, your detail, your ideas will look a little bit different.
Yeah, exactly. And here is another important tip about planning, guys. While you are brainstorming, while you are furiously writing down examples and reasons, make sure to take a moment to check the test question.
Mm,
Test, blah, go back to the test question and check, guys, that all of the ideas you're writing are on topic because it's really easy to read the test question. You understand it at that time, you underline keywords, and you're like, okay, I know what to plan for. Advantages of this, disadvantages of this, whatever. But then while you're brainstorming, coming up with cool examples and such, maybe you start going a little bit off topic. It's easy to do. So guys, do make sure that you check back with the test question to just make sure, guys, please, because this will really hurt your task score if you don't do this. Make sure every single idea is directly related to the test question.
Yes, we've seen this happen when a test question on test day is pretty similar to like a common one you'll find online to practice, but a little bit different. So, students, if they don't read carefully or if as they're brainstorming, they don't check back, they
Mhm.
find themselves answering the one they've practiced, and that can
Yeah.
really derail your task score.
Totally. Yeah, for sure. So take 5 minutes to plan, guys, and then you take 30 minutes to write the essay. The essay will always be 4 paragraphs. In Three Keys IELTS, we give you the templates for each kind of essay for that 4 paragraph formation. So while you write, guys, your ideas are done. Okay. Do not think of any more ideas while you write. All right. Everything is in your brainstorm. Only use those ideas. You need the rest of your brain space to remember how to organize your ideas. Remember the transition sentences from a template if you're using that. Um, and you need to think about the vocabulary you're using to express these ideas. Um, Grammar, you're thinking about that while you write. There's so much to think about while you write, guys, that you cannot think of new ideas. It will make your essay disorganized and probably off topic if you add ideas while you write. We just talked about that on a recent episode a few weeks ago,
Yeah,
actually.
we talked a lot about having lots of ideas in a body paragraph, but really none of them supported with details and examples. We see this a
Mhm.
lot. So you have to limit yourself to one or two solid ideas because you have to support every new idea you provide.
Exactly, exactly. So after you're done writing the essay, guys, you take 5 minutes to check your essay, of course. And just to remind you why we do that, we check in task 1, we check in task 2, because if you can catch the vocabulary errors or repetition, if you can catch some grammar mistakes, guys, that will increase your vocab and grammar score. So these final few minutes of checking, you have to include this in your strategies, guys, because it will help your score.
Exactly. And remember, you can just cross a word out, write a better word right above it. It doesn't have to be perfectly neat as long as the examiner can read it. It's clear which word you intended. You don't have
Mhm.
to do a ton of erasing. That is a waste of time as well. So, a lot of time saving tips today.
Exactly. Awesome. Guys, if you have a question about IELTS you would like us to talk about, you can tell us. You can write in support@allearsenglish.com. Remember, guys, we are also on YouTube, IELTS Energy TV. And if you're watching us on YouTube, we also have a podcast. So subscribe to IELTS Energy wherever you listen to podcasts.
Awesome. Thanks, Jessica. I will see you next week.
Yep. Awesome. Bye.
Bye, guys.